Well, while we're waiting to hear back, I'll go ahead and get us started as the interim chair.
You've appointed yourself God, right?
Yeah, we'll just get this party started. If that's, unless there's objection. If there's objection, I will happily defer to anybody else.
Let's get this party started.
Yeah. On the screen here for everybody who's virtual, here are the minutes from last month. We approved both of the January and March minutes.
You want me to make a motion?
Yeah, I just want to let everybody that's virtual have a chance to catch up.
Okay.
We had our new business, the rural roundup, May 10th, wetlands ordinance, Vision 2050, new council members, and then the announcements for there. Any corrections or changes necessary for the minutes? All right, Heath, did you want to go ahead and make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 4/20/2022.
All right,
Seconded.
all right. Any discussion? And any objection? All right, hearing none, so moved. I did that out of order. Sorry. With that, we can do roll call real quick. Elizabeth, do you want to start? Just a quick introduction.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Gray. I'm a resident in Watermill, so I'm kind of off of University of Econ. And I'm happy to be on the team with y'all and learning about how we can help District 5. I'm recently retired. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep during most of my career and a banker before that. Thanks.
And you serve on the Lake Pearl Water Board, right?
Yes, I do. Yep, I
Yay.
was recently added to that advisory board as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And we're working to get some more people on there for you as well. So thank you for your work there.
Thanks.
All right. And Carrie, you want to say hi?
Yeah, Karen Simasek.
Oh, hey, Karen.
I live in Maitland, and my parents actually live near you, Elizabeth, at Econ and University on Lake Irma. And I'm heading up the animal services with Carolina, and I do some stuff around Maitland.
Awesome. Thank you. And Bob, you want to go?
Bob Olson, I was retired business consultant. Happy to be on board.
Yep, Heath Constantine. I work for a software company. We do banking software, and I'm also a member of the Lake Killarney Advisory Board.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And with that, we had the approval of the minutes. Any? Oh, hold on. Let me get this. All right. So here's our agenda for the evening. Any changes or concerns with the agenda?
I think I see good news on the agenda.
Yeah.
7A1.
Yeah.
7A2. Sorry.
782. Yeah. So, all right. Any objections to accepting the agenda as presented? All right. So moved. So with that, since Kelly's not here, I'll give a quick update for Lake Pickett. The Grow is still plugging along. They submitted their 2 other preliminary subdivision plans. They're going through DRC review right now, and we're waiting on county staff to come back with us or come back to us with feedback. Then we can sit down with the developer and review any concerns that we have. This is for the last section, that southwest corner up where Tanner Road and Lake Pickett, or Tanner Road and Colonial Drive are, and then everything north of the loop and the residential development around the farm. So we're waiting to see that and waiting to get all the feedback from all the departments, and then we'll be able to continue to work with that developer. Sustany was withdrawn at the last minute on, I think it was basically Monday morning. They saw that they did not have the 4 votes necessary to proceed forward with the transmittal. If you did not have a chance to see the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, both Gordon Spears and the District 1 rep, his name just jumped out of my head. But anyway, both did a tremendous job with basically breaking down the developer's argument for density and reinforcing that this is not something the community wants. So the downside was because they didn't get a denial, it's not subject to the 2-year ban. So they are going to come back with something different. It's already in the works because they've already reached out to Commissioner Bonilla to ask for setting up an appointment for a meeting. Also, they did a big dump of mailers to the area, to homeowners, asking them, featuring some highlights of the development and then asking them to go to the website and sign on for their support. So they're trying to build some community grassroots support. But based off of all the meetings we've been to, I don't know how successful they will be. So that's kind of where that is. And of course, we are meeting Eugene, Commissioner Bonilla, Kelly are going to try to meet with EPD to, again, look at the possibility of purchasing this parcel and incorporating it into the nature preserve that's already out there. It does, I spoke with John Weiss yesterday, it does score very high on their criteria for preservation. And so hopefully we can maybe look at that avenue as well. So that's kind of concurrently going on at the same time. Any questions on that?
Would that include financing? You have to include financing from the board, the BCC, or can they do it all by themselves?
No, I believe that has to be approved by the BCC. I can definitely check and find out though.
I was wondering, I would assume it's going to be in the several gazillions of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's what I was wondering, if they had the funding.
Yeah, I would certainly hope that if it was that level of money, it would need BCC approval. So
Yeah, there's so many of the things that NP, their contributions are dropping way down because the stock market's disappearing. So
yeah.
NPCs, NPOs.
BCC updates, rent stabilization is moving forward. They did appoint a consulting group that's investigating all of the statistics for Orange County housing to see if in fact we are in a housing emergency. That report is due back at the first BCC meeting in June. And then based off of that report, the county commission may decide if they want to declare a housing emergency, which would be the first step in moving forward with a rent stabilization ordinance for the ballot. So that meeting is June 7th. And we're waiting to hear back for what that report is going to look like. The other thing that the commissioner is really working on for the past month, the mayor kind of spoke about this during the April meeting, providing notice to tenants about rent increases. One of the things that he wanted to do was a 60-day notice if there was going to be a rent increase. And we think that that's good, but it doesn't help alleviate the issue. So incorporating what he would like to do, we kind of have adopted into something a little bigger as a tenant's bill of rights, and including things like letting people understand that if the landlord withholds your deposit, you have certain rights, what those rights are. The commissioner met with legal aid, and legal aid is very interested in partnering to provide legal services for free if people qualify for tenant landlord disputes. And then we've been working with a couple of different community groups that are doing even more, I won't say radical, but more progressive things. For example, Palm Beach, landlords get a permit every year to rent their properties. And that permit fee funds the department. And then that department conducts annual inspections of the rental property to make sure that they're up to code and everything is up to par. And then they maintain that database. So tenants can actually go and see if there's been issues with this landlord, if there's been complaints filed against them, the conditions of their property. So it kind of provides a check and balance system on the landlords, as well as educates tenants or renters about their rights. So we're going to try to bring this in and do it parallel with the rent stabilization, and see if we can get those moving at the same time. But I think that that's something that we can do, that if the ballot initiative doesn't make it or is not successful, still has some teeth and protections for renters.
I had experience with it a long time ago. It's a great program, and if it was well administered, it wasn't a bureaucratic nightmare as a lot of government programs become. They were very good about educating, particularly the tenants.
Hey.
Hey, Eugene.
So I
No
went
worries.
to the wrong place. I was on the margin. I became one with the road, and I realized I was going up the Golden Mile. Like, oh,
Welcome.
And your kayak and came down the river, right?
Yeah. Bob, I might pick your brain on that if you don't mind, down the road.
Yeah, I at least 5 years ago, the last time I saw it,
Okay.
I think they had just started it, and of course, the landlord associations and the realtors, unfortunately, were pushing back on it. But they sort of liked it because it took away a lot of the grief that they were facing with issues that, they had no control over.
Right.
But it was a way of educating, it sort of was a way of educating what their enforcement things and all the other things that program really hadn't been
Right.
developed. It was more starting out as an educational kind of thing.
And I really do like the aspect of, a code inspection, because that will get rid of a lot of these slumlord properties where, they're basically taking advantage of some of our most vulnerable residents. So.
Yeah, I had a concern about that
Yeah.
though, because they might be slum properties, but it's still a place for people to live.
Mhm.
If you close them down, you could close 15 or 20, then you have 15 or 20 homeless families.
Well, I think part of it is partnering, there's ways to incentivize fixing these issues. So depending upon how bad the issue is, making sure that there's funds or resources available to the property owners. The other part that we were kind of looking at too is if the owner doesn't fix it, using these as, what was the word that they used? It basically, it becomes the ability where you can, take the property back and then you can convert it to something that is actual affordable housing. And either the government can run it or, partner with a different private entity to run it. But I understand the concern. I think that's valid. But I think there was a couple of different places that had a program in place to help fix issues like that, depending on how severe.
What I heard anecdotally, but like I said, I wasn't actually involved in it, is what the gentleman was saying is that they instead of penalizing them, they incentivized them and said, okay, if you don't fix it, this is your fine. But if you do fix it, we'll give you back the money in essence as a way to finance it.
Mhm.
So it was sort of like an incentive.
Yeah, I think if
Stirring the
you
kid-
help
stirring the-
pay for some of these things, that would
Yeah.
be good to
Yeah,
help the people in there. And the only reason I bring this up is because I think it could get carried away, because when you have these older homes in Florida that are being rented out, and the insurance companies are not insuring these homes because they honor standards to bring these homes up to code.
Right.
The electricity works fine in these homes, the water works fine, but they won't insure it because the water pipes are old, the copper wire is old. And if the city puts those same regulations on homeowners, I don't, I don't think that's fair. That's not like a slumlord. That's like somebody that's just renting out an old Florida home that survived 15 or 20 hurricanes.
Right.
yeah, it was a big incentive, especially for roofs,
Yeah,
to upgrade the roofs, because that's one of the biggest insurance issues on older homes, as I understand, is that the roofs are, blow away. and they-
I can assure you, it's one of the biggest.
yeah,
issues.
yeah.
I know,
I'm not sure what y'all are talking about, but the roofs should be, we should somehow get people to stop putting shingles on.
Yeah.
Shingles are just a waste of time.
Yeah.
The 10-year products. I mean,
That is correct.
So
A 25-year roof is a 10-year product.
Right.
Yeah.
He is right.
The UV just kills us. I don't care if it's a 50-year thing, the UV will kill it.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to see somehow that we get those shingles up more expensive, because all that goes into the dump,
Right.
which they don't pay much for.
And
They
and
throw
a
the metal
toxic.
with that,
Yeah.
and the prop, and I would think that the cost, I mean, the shingle roofs that we're putting in our neighborhood are not cheap.
Mhm.
and the big, and the
And I
other,
would think the metal roofs are pretty competitive, because
They're not, they're much more expensive.
Really?
I don't understand that, because it's like, it's a,
It is.
yeah, I paid 19,000 3 years ago for my metal roof.
it may be
I
just.
just paid 10,000 3 weeks ago for my shingle roof.
Yeah,
So it's almost double. Or more, probably more than
Well-
double now.
Yeah.
but no, I mean, the metal hasn't gone up, the shingle is an imported material, it's asphalt. And
Right.
it comes from, it's a low grade asphalt product.
Mhm.
So, metal is steel, it's sheet steel. And the amount of
Mm.
product that you actually use on your roof is amazingly, I mean, my entire roof could be fit in this area here,
Right.
and that was 20 squares. It's pretty impressive. It's all like, God, that's
That's
it.
pretty cool.
But the other thing too is that also in the building process, to nail it in correctly, because the guys were short nailing them a lot of, because it goes faster that
Oh, on the
way.
shingles?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, you need,
no,
if the shingles aren't nailed in properly, they can be the best things in the world, they're gonna go sailing. Is
Yeah, I
it just, there's the wind,
they're putting them in, it takes one day to put a shingle roof in now.
It did.
yeah,
One day.
It took, well, 2 days.
2 days.
One
day
to
rip off,
tear and.
Yeah,
second day is-
you're right. It
Yeah.
finished in 2 days.
Okay, our whole neighborhood, they're doing that right now. It's.
yeah, if they don't have to
It
do
took me
anything,
3
yeah,
weeks.
yeah, fix any underlayment, that's absolutely true.
But then the underlayment, I was
All
surprised.
right, back, let's bring it in. We'll get on a tangent about roofs.
Okay, so we're working on B.
We're
Well,
working on
everything
B,
else, so
the tenant
I'm
bill,
sorry.
tenant bill of rights. It's okay. I appreciate it though. It's a good conversation. Um,
So we've already gone through one, and roll call, you done, I
Yep,
just- I didn't
yep.
catch up.
it's okay. So yeah, so we're right now on the tenant bill of rights under B2.
And you talked about A,
We talked about the grow, they submitted their second and third PSPs. We talked about obviously the Sustany withdrawal. I talked about how you and Kelly and Commissioner Bonilla are going to try to sit down and discuss purchasing that parcel and then preserving it as part of the nature preserve next door. Yeah.
so I wanted to extend that a little bit. 'cause
Yeah.
I would like to get Gordon involved.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking is they're gonna be hesitant about selling it because they wouldn't make money.
Right.
So if we could buy a conservation overlay on that, basically buy the development rights from them, but they maintain the ownership for a while, so they can extract the value of the land out of mitigation.
Mhm.
We talked about gopher mitigation, and all that, so they still make money on the land, and then we put in a contract that after they're done doing that, we're on the first to buy it.
Mhm.
Because in that way, they're probably gonna want a huge amount of money, which will probably be some escalated and some,
Right.
like, so if we can get just the conservation of underlayment of it, then work with the mitigation, let them get the mitigation value out of the land, get it back, a bunch of GTs on it and 20K per material, so they can make some money off of that. Then we can come back in 4 or 5 years and maybe then we buy the land totally at that point.
And I think,
And Gordon is a lot more well versed on that.
okay, and I think the incentive is to try to get this done sooner than later because you know, they're paying again someone to go back and redesign this entire neighborhood, and they're incurring more expenses, and they're going to be more likely to want to get
That's
that.
why I want to get Gordon involved, and we come up with a pitch to
Yeah.
them, and we sit them down and say, here's the ideal, and we try to meet somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, you care for those owls so much,
Let's keep them.
let's keep them.
Yeah. I was talking to John Weiss about it Tuesday, and he had said that it does score very high on their preservation list. But then we were talking about the meeting, and he goes, well, yeah, he was talking about how growing up as a kid and preservation and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, I remember somebody in the crowd says, well, why don't you just leave it that way? And I was like, I know who said that. So that was Eugene screaming it out. So it's like, oh, just leave it then. So are you good with the custody update?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. UCF corridor, Austin is not here. Vision 2050. So I've been trying to get more information on it. They are still collecting survey results on Vision 2050. I think it's going to be 2050 before we get any movement on that.
Now, they're supposed to generate an ordinance, or are they gonna
They're,
come up with this once they get their?
my understanding is, yeah, making recommendations for comp updates and things. So we are working to try to get somebody to come here to talk about Vision 2050. I'm trying to see if we can get it set up for June, if not, definitely July. Like I said, the survey is still up. So that's kind of where we're at there. Okay.
When are they supposed to bring back to the board? The other date?
No, that's what I've been trying to find. Like, I cannot find a timeline for this anywhere. So we're working on trying to get that answered too. And this the next item, animal services. Karen, this kind of jumps in with you. I would love to see some ways that we can start progressing on this. We did get someone who reached out to our office about 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago because it was the Tuesday of the previous BCC meeting. And there was a dog that was labeled aggressive and was scheduled to be put down. And there was all kinds of issues with trying to get a hold of the animal services manager because they were able to find a rescue to take the animal, but they couldn't get the manager to sign off on the transfer. And it was basically the 11th hour, but we were able to get it all worked out before the dog was put down. But I can say that that was a harrowing 12 hours.
You still put down dogs in Orange County?
We very much do, yes.
I thought we had no kill shelters now.
We do, but we also have kill shelters.
Yeah.
Oh.
Karen, would you like to jump in on this?
So that's what I was talking about with soft policies.
Mhm.
I mean, we already know that that's happened many times and it hasn't had always the good outcome. So we are scheduled, we want to talk to a few more people, but we talked to, since the last meeting, Spay Neuter Nation. And I can give you the update on that if you have the time. But basically, we have the numbers are so huge. If you just look at March, we had strays, 255 dogs, 254 cats. That's just strays. The total was 561 for dogs and 584 for cats. These numbers are due in part to COVID, in that we learned from our Spay Neuter Nation interview that everything shut down during COVID. So now the cats that weren't getting spayed and neutered they had kittens, and those kittens are having kittens. So we're behind when it comes to the cats. We also know that with the rising apartment costs, the lack of affordable housing, you also have apartments that are charging to keep your pets there. So the second biggest thing that happens, like when it comes to owner surrender, in March, 130 dogs were surrendered by their owners and 167 cats were surrendered. Those numbers are huge. So we, it's a constant battle, and there are definitely solutions. What we are focusing on is spay and neutering, because we're seeing some misinformation online. And we're also hearing from Spay Neuter Nation that people, if they just can't afford it, and then they just don't do it. So we're looking at Spay Neuter because Carolina is a volunteer there. And she said that is just something that has to really be looked at and supported always. And then I really want us to look at the new shelter. I don't understand what the public input is on that yet. I don't understand if there's enough public input on that. Because if these are the numbers we're looking at, is this the new normal? And if this is the new normal, are we really doing everything we should be doing to help our animal services with this new building? Or is it just going to be outdated as soon as it's built? So we have 3 interviews we're trying to still get. We're still gathering information. I don't know what you want me to do with that information. If you want me to shoot it over to the office, you know, we can do that. Or if you want us to come up with our recommendations. Again, there's soft targets, which are policy changes, meaning a lot of times the last chance list or a dog that the advisory board has said is aggressive, but a rescue would take them anyway. Those are policies that kind of happen like between this animal services and the animal advocates and all of that. So how do we improve that communication? I think it's starting to improve. But how do we do that? How do we give the animal rescues enough time to rescue? And then of course, hard target would be the shelter itself, which is overgrown. And then, like I said before, we know that Pet Alliance is gonna kind of focus more on cats. The good news is Seminole County has a community cat ordinance now. So that'll cut down on maybe cats from that county because we're an open admission shelter. So, you know, we get impacted by the surrounding counties. So Pet Alliance, that when Pet Alliance focuses on cats, that means more dogs end up at Orange County.
So maybe as a suggestion or a thought, can the commissioner come up with some, work with the animal services to come up with a standard operating procedure on what they do when they get a dog that's classified, that gives them the steps that in the time that they need it and what they should do.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that in this communication around this one particular dog. And I think, Karen, you hit the nail on the head. There seems to be a disconnect between the animal services department and communicating with these rescue organizations, because you know, the rescues are like, we're finding out about this at the last minute, and then animal services sent me this entire timeline of things that they had done. So it's clear that what animal services is doing is not necessarily always making it to the animal rescue advocates. So I think if we can work to identify holes or pitfalls in that process, it's definitely something we should be focusing on. I would definitely say any recommendations that you have or anything that you would like to share, send it over. And I think if we can advocate from 2 different positions on the same thing, it might help us to get some traction on it. But I think that's definitely anything that you've got for right now is good. And also, Carolina, I want to apologize. I saw that you were sitting in the panelist room, so I brought you in. So hi, how are you?
So do we have a written policy right now that they have? And if they do, can we make modifications? Karen, maybe you put suggestions in their standard, treat it like a standard operating procedure. They need, evidently, it's not refined enough that they need to put some more lines in there that tell them that they have to do this, this, and this before you put them down.
So yeah, so I will work on that. I'm also started a foundation that's helping this, so I only go so far. But that's why I'm really pushing that the commissioners speak up more about the new shelter and ask our county administrator's office where's the money, guard the money and have public input. Because I think what's happening with these numbers is that things just are going so fast, and a lot of the budget goes to the employee salaries. And they depend, basically animal services is not set up to save dogs and cats.
Mhm.
It's outdated. It needs to be reevaluated, and the policies need to be looked at again. There's an advisory board that probably should really be doing that. And working hand in hand with Ms. Summers, because it's what the employees want.
Mhm.
But it's really for animal control. I mean, it's really to protect people. It's a very antiquated way of thinking. So you've got a building that's just not accommodating. We're reaching the summer months again, and there's no air conditioning for the dogs. It's criminal in a way, because why haven't we put the money out there for this new building? It just doesn't make sense. We're Orange County,
Right.
and we should have the resources to do it. And that, to me, as a commissioner, motivated or speaking up about this and finding out how big is this building going to be. But I can send all that to Wes, because your animal rescues out there are doing their best. But when you have things set up that way, then you have our employees and manager at Orange County Animal Services, they are relying on volunteers way too much. So they need the support to come out of that antiquated way of thinking.
Okay.
Do they have an advisory board already or not?
They do. I believe
Yeah.
they have two of them. They have an animal services advisory board. And then I believe they have it like a dangerous dog advisory board.
Have the NPOs come back from COVID as such that we're doing animal services, or are they still pretty much decimated?
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the whole thing.
Yeah, have the NPOs come back from the COVID situation? Or are they still pretty much decimated? That we're doing animal services and support for the county's effort? I thought there was about 5 or 6 of them at one time. I don't know if they're still.
One of them burned down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one probably didn't come back, so.
Are you talking about?
Well, that's Pet Alliance, and they're planning to rebuild, correct, Karen?
It's my understanding they are not, that they had 2 facilities, one in Seminole, and I believe they're going to enlarge that one. And I was told they're going to primarily look at taking care of cats. That's why Orange County can expect more dogs.
Got it. Okay. Do we have numbers on what it would cost to air condition that facility?
I have them somewhere, but they are old numbers.
Okay.
And I know that the last time any kind of system was looked at was when commissioner or the chairman was Teresa Jacobs.
Okay.
And she had fans put in to the dog area.
Mhm.
And I don't know what, see, this is gonna, I will find out. I can send you what I have. I heard that some people had tried to make that happen, not only under the current manager. But with a new building coming in, I just don't know if it'll happen.
So
I don't know if you can justify.
does the advisory group have any power to actually direct, or is it just, I mean, it sounds like they need some help, because if you're on an air condition, my question would be, is the building even insulated to be air conditioned? You know, is it a tin roof? Is there any insulation in that roof? Are the walls insulated? Is it individual pin? I don't know the configuration. So the advisory group needs to get much more active on trying to direct. Because in the Parks and Rec, we do make advisory, we direct, and we.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they're doing thing they can. If there's anything that could be done like tonight, it would just be that the commissioners send out posts on their social media saying that they're looking for fosters. Because the best place for any dog or cat is not in a shelter. It is in a foster home. They
Right.
don't even behave how they might, their personalities change. Think about it. If you're in a scary place that's very loud with a bunch of other dogs and cats, when I go there, it's a nightmare. So, you know, if you want to do something now, tomorrow, you know, the commissioners just put out their fosters. We need fosters, but yeah, there's lots of things that need to be done. We're looking for a paradigm shift, if you will, on how we view what basically animal services is under, I think, health. I'm not sure the name of the, but it's not, it's under like taking care of health, human health or whatever. It's just not how you need to look at it if you don't want to talk about how many dogs and cats have to be put down. If you're trying to save them, give them a second chance, then you got to change how we're supporting our Orange County Animal Services. And you have to elevate them because a lot of times they don't get the money first.
Right.
They wait for years and years and years.
Is there a program to try to create a foster parent program within the animal services? I come from the sheltie world, and there's a foster parent program for shelties rescues around the state. So do they have?
They have a foster program. Carolina has some of the little kittens right now. They have a foster program. They just need constantly, they need support and volunteers to take the dogs and the cats.
Is that a very active program right now where they have a paid employee that's their job is to go find more foster people?
Yes, they have a volunteer coordinator who's very well liked and very active. Yeah, no, it's just a matter of the numbers are just overwhelming.
Right.
They're ready for you. If they're foster, they're ready for you. They have a volunteer coordinator. They have like, Carolina can answer this better, but I believe you go through like a video to tell you about it. And, you know, they have all this stuff for you so that you can be a good foster family. But, you know, they just need people.
Do they need money to do PR?
So-
Because if we can get the dogs out of there in the foster, that lessens such a huge need to a large facility.
So Carolina added in that we do have a foster program at Animal Services. It's very active. There's a foster coordinator, Amy, and that Orange County does need a new shelter. And I would agree, you know, it is frustrating when just a month and a half ago, we put $16 million into reserves because we had surplus. And yet we're, you know, having this discussion about dogs in Florida in the heat.
Mhm. Yeah, so I'll send you my notes, Wes, and
Okay.
I know that Commissioner Wilson has her own group that's working on this too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I mean, really,
You want to should.
Well, we have, I mean, Lynx Buses already has like all of these ads for adopt, don't shop, and they have pictures of the pets. So that's all over Lynx Buses. Diane Summers was in PR. Their Facebook PR is phenomenal. It's just an overwhelming amount of dogs and cats that are being affected by rising housing costs and COVID.
Right.
And the money going to COVID, and it should have been going to the shelter.
What can we do as a community to try to influence the rental agents and groups to stop charging for pets? Or, I mean, if they accept pets, why are they charging additional money every month for a pet?
because they can. I mean,
So is there
it's
something as a policy we can do because it's costing us. If they do
Right.
that, we should tax them.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
costing us.
It's
You're
costing
right.
us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a transfer of money again to us.
right.
It's like Walmart hiring all these people that don't make enough
Medical insurance.
medical insurance, so
Yeah.
we
Right.
now have to take care of
Right.
it. So can we as a commission say, okay, fine, you're gonna charge $25 a month, but that's increasing, and we show the numbers, Karen has them, and say, this is what's costing. We're gonna put a overlay tax on your complex for this, because you're costing us money.
Yeah, so basically, if
It's a
you're,
threat, use it as a threat.
right,
Here, you guys wanna, either you cut this out, or we're gonna do this to you.
yeah, and I think, and Carolina added that Karen is correct, social media works great with the fosters and rescues that are there to help, but there's just too many animals, and yeah, I think that was when everybody was home, nothing better to do, they got a dog, and now they're going back to work, and it's like, they gotta figure out what
Well,
to
we
do.
can
Does
also-
the county have a licensing fee for animals as such?
I hope
That's
not.
Because that's a revenue, that's the same thing we
You
were
get a
talking
tag,
about.
you
before.
do have to have a rabies and all that.
Oh, yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's no licensing for pets in Orange County, is there?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
And you don't want to
Sure
make,
hope not.
you know, you don't want to make the cost of adopting astronomical. A lot of people who adopt don't have a lot of money. When it
Right.
comes to spay and neutering, a lot of these nonprofits are paying for the spay and neutering of pets. But the pet's going back to a loving family.
Right,
We have a problem of owner surrenders, and a lot of the owner surrenders are because it might be somebody who's elderly on a fixed income. They have had their pet forever. The pet suddenly, I think this was a real case that Miss Summers told me about, might have a growth on its neck, and
Mhm.
they can't help the pet. They don't have the money. So what do? They give it to the county.
Right.
So, that's one of the things that the foundation is working on, and other nonprofits where we help give the money. I love this idea that Eugene had, that you are costing us tax money. When you raise the rates of our rents, and then you say that now you have to pay extra because you have a little pet, or you're costing
That's a
us
family member
money.
in my book. You
Right.
don't, a pet is not just anything. It's a member
Right.
of the family, and that's like saying, oh, I just had a baby. You have to pay
Right.
extra $20 because you had a
Right.
baby per month.
Yeah, this started,
It's fundamentally wrong.
yeah, it started probably mid-2000s. This pet rent
It's a
notion,
new way to extract money from
It's-
people.
it's a-
That's
yeah.
all it is.
and to be honest with you, it was also one of our issues with the rent stabilization was, will they come up with these garbage fees such as valet
Exactly.
trash and community or common area electrical fees and pet rent to
It's
comp to
nickel and
make up,
diming crap, because I mean, we've
Yeah.
all lived in apartments at some point in our lives, and
right,
we didn't pay that. And it's not like they're gonna come out and clean your carpets yearly.
right.
I mean, they only clean that, they're gonna charge you if they have to clean it when you move out.
Yeah, I think that's a great
So I think
idea to look
you-
into.
And if you can work on a policy on how to do this, then we get the pet people charged up on this, and we get them at the commission meeting
Mhm.
to raise living hell. That will generate a lot of PR. You
Yeah.
have Channel 2, 9, 6, all of them, and Fox,
I
and
think,
raise hell, and this will get their attention.
and
It's a
pets,
threat.
and pets are good. I think
It's
you were
therapy,
saying
man.
that, they're great for generating some social media buzz and sympathy,
I mean,
so.
And for animals that are pedigreed animals and so forth, I mean, some of those are costing $400, $500, $600, $700. So tacking a license fee onto that is a write-off for most of those people.
I don't want to
Well-
shock you, but pedigrees are
Much
two
more.
grand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
Well, part of the paradigm shift that I sent an email to the commissioners is that we need to put a monetary value on our pets. If you're seeing a lot of pets that are helping people. You saw it during COVID with the mental health issues. The Ukrainian war had a dog that was sniffing out bombs. Pets add value to our lives, but we don't put that on, monetary value there. And that's wrong. They're valuable members of society.
Right,
So that's
Right.
another way to shift
A lot of single people, they're older adults by themselves. and
Seniors.
Mhm.
Seniors that are single, or they, and their pet is their mate. practically, because they take them to.
Well, and-
They take them everywhere. I take my dog, I was gonna bring her tonight, because she's by herself.
Yeah.
You should.
And two, to touch on, Karen talked a little bit about the health costs, but also right now, just the food costs, and for cats, the litter cost, that's going through the roof right now and is really creating a financial burden
Dog
for a
food
lot
is
of these
freaking
people.
crazy. My Sheltie, I'm down to one Sheltie now, but the old 20-pound bag was $50.
It's getting crazy.
It's crazy stuff.
Okay, well, Karen, thank you, and Carolina, thank you as well. I know Carolina's been adding in the chat because her microphone is not working, so thank you for keyboarding it. Yeah, anything that we can do, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll see if I can even arrange a time to get down to Conroy and take a walk through and see just kind of what's going on too.
Do we have a committee working on this now, Karen? Or do we have a couple people working on this?
Me and Carolina, that's one of our
Okay.
objectives, to get more people.
Okay, I mean, if you can start putting together something with Wes as a proposal to charge back to these real estate people, these apartment complexes, let's get the program going on that.
Yeah.
And that looks forward, especially during election time. Nothing like an election time to generate energy.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I often think you should try the positive route first, which would be, hey, you could get some great press if you advertise that you don't charge for pets, or you're charging for pets is lower. It might be easier to do it while we're crafting something, but I would definitely talk to Carolina and Wes, and just let anyone who wants to join in, let them know that we're doing this and send them our way.
I would say carrot stick methodology.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lower it, we're not gonna do this, but if you don't, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, Karen, I think that's a good idea. Carolina says she'll be at the shelter on Sunday to take her foster kitten for a vet check so she can stop by the dog area. Perfect.
Should she take some pictures?
Yeah, would you mind taking some pictures? And, I would really, Karen or Carolina, if you would like to, schedule a time, I would love to go down there and just get a firsthand tour. Because I'm not familiar with all of the needs down there, and I think that it would be beneficial for me. So if you don't mind, just let me know a time that works. I'll be happy to figure something out.
I think 3 or 4 years ago, they were
That's
talking redoing that totally, right? Because
Yeah.
when I was in that Orange County Experience Program, and we were over there, it was like they said it was $300,000 for the HVAC equipment, but the modification for the building in order to make it work, like you're talking about, was in the millions.
Yeah,
So,
it's
because
cheaper
it's an
sometimes.
old building.
Right,
It's
it's
been-
cheaper to build a new building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been added on. and blah, blah,
Do we
blah.
have a building right now in Orange County that we can repurpose that is a warehouse type or something?
No, we don't have any.
Well, they have a group called the Bacon Group who's done a shelter already. Don't know where, and I think they have $11 million budget. Carolina and I are just like, before you start spending this money, you need to talk to the public, get public input, make sure it's big enough.
Mhm.
But they already have plans. You can see it it's in the newspaper. They have plans to build us a new shelter.
What about using some of the, City of Orlando has all those empty buildings on 50, the old strip mall there. That's city property. Why can't we just rent out a couple of those buildings and put shelters inside them?
Which one are you talking about?
You know where, oh gosh, right across from the Fashion Square, all those buildings there, all that property is the City of Orlando. So that, I wonder if the leasing officer
Are you-
could.
Are you talking about, there's two, so the ones that are further down
We
where
know
the
where the library.
where the
used to be.
library used to be, that's all owned by GOA.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
City of Orlando
Yeah.
owns that property.
Well, I
So,
believe they're looking into buying Pet Alliance land.
Okay,
And keeping, see, when they build, they have to put the dogs and cats somewhere.
right.
And I did ask about satellite offices, but that would be, you have to increase the budget because they only have so many employees.
Right.
And you would need them to go to those satellite locations. So that's a whole other can of worms, so to speak. So you're talking about the new shelter, and you're talking about, is it going to be big enough? Is it gonna be, what do you want it to be? Orange County residents who are paying for it. And then you're also talking about in the future, do we have the money to do satellite offices? Because you're right, people tend to be convenience minded, and if they want to adopt a pet, they may not go all the way down to Conroy. They do want to stay there because they have great traffic. I think they're looking at putting like a marquee out there so they could put pictures of the dogs and cats in need. So, they do have that. They have a lot going on down there, so it's a good location.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
yeah.
maybe what you think about it is creating, I mean, if we can use a building that's already existing, like a strip mall that's
Mhm.
dead. And we can create 3 or 4, I mean, county's big. I mean, go to I have meetings all around the county because I'm in Parks and Rec. It's crazy. And it takes me up to an hour to drive across county. So I can understand when people don't want to drive. So maybe what we start thinking about is creating subsets of these shelters in the different, almost district-based shelters. And it's more expensive, but you could maybe get more traffic that way for that
Well,
little group.
So, I brought this up, Eugene, but really the answer is we have about 80 volunteer-based rescues, and they're registered with Orange County Animal Services. They can even qualify for Orange County grants. I think the grants are up to $1,500. So in a way, you do have satellite offices because you have those rescues spread not just in Orange County, but on surrounding counties.
Mhm.
So, it's again a partnership that needs to be worked on so that they're communicating, not just communicating about dogs in need, but communicating in that, and they just did this on their social media. Orange County posted about a door animal rescue. And Adora was trying to find, I believe, a home for a mommy dog. So they are doing those partnerships, and that's kind of like your satellites.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I think you're correct that we need to treat it like a priority, the priority that it is, and really kind of work to advocate for more money. And I think right now they're in the budget discussion, so I think now's the perfect time to start that advocacy work.
This is budget time, so if you guys got budget requests, you need to put that together now.
Yeah.
Because it comes up in June, July timeframe.
Right.
For the next budget.
Awesome. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Carolina. All right, so that's animal services, stormwater pond code. I don't think we've had any update on that. Okay. The other thing, so this past, yesterday, yeah, there was a discussion. Gordon had brought forward an amendment to an approval for a connectivity plan, basically not allowing any rezoning or changes in the comp plan that would increase density on properties that were septic reliant. So basically, if there was a septic tank, you couldn't do more density until they connected to city services. The legal said that was not an appropriate amendment to that, but that it is part of the septic tank overhaul in the comp plan, and they're doing that starting in July. So I just wanted to kind of see if they bring that to everybody's awareness and see if there was anybody interested.
Why do legal say it's not? What was the justification?
So the reason is because this comp modification, or this modification was done specifically targeting the Wekiva River Basin projects and the projects along Pine Hills Road. And so that's how the work was advertised and marketed. The general policy change was not included in the language, so I didn't think that it would legally stand up to a challenge. Because they didn't give notice that it was in addition to, or countywide. The notice was just specific to these projects.
Why not allow Gordon's motion to carry within that region, and then we expand on the next step?
So that was asked, and we were told no, because that was a general because his amendment was generally applied to the county and not to those specific projects. And so therefore, because that was what was made, they couldn't bring that forward.
But the motion could be brought back by him, since he was on the affirmative side.
To amend it
You
to
wanna
apply
amend
to
it,
those.
amend the motion, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, and I think ultimately we do want to get this applied to the countywide policy.
Yeah,
And so, we will have this coming up. I think it's subgroup A is the one that's working on this
it
particular
would be
language.
good just to get it on a portion, just to work out the kinks,
Right,
because I mean, it gets us going. So if I talked to Gordon, I would say, I would make an amendment motion. Meeting to only clarify to this, not to the whole county, and then
right.
make it known, we will bring this forward to the whole county.
Yeah, and
This is a prototype, make it a prototype area, because it's something that we have to feel out, is this the right?
Right.
There might be something that we're not thinking of.
yeah, and so just so everybody kind of knows, basically what has happened is the state and federal funds are covering up to 75% of this, and Orange County will cover the additional 25% if it meets certain thresholds. And part of that is a referendum to the property owners, and 2/3 have to respond back that they want to have that connection done, and then they will go in and do it. That triggers it triggers a stopwatch basically that runs for a year. Once the county goes out, puts the sewer line in and ties in the homes that voted yes, those homes that didn't tie in have 12 months to tie in. And then if they don't, by state law, they still have to tie in at their own expense. And so what utilities wants to do is basically educate these owners that, look, state law says if you don't tie in 12 months, you have to, and then you're paying for it out of your own pocket, which is roughly $5,000. You're better off to do this now. And so they're going to try to incentivize by, if you don't tie in, you're paying the sewer processing rate anyway, whether you're on sewer or not, to try to incentivize owners to just jump on when they have the funding. Because the problem is, once the county wraps up the program and the funding, you can't just come back and, okay, well, Bob, now you want it for your house, or, Karen, you want it at your house. You had to do it when everybody else is being connected.
The thing with Gordon's motion is, once you put, Corner Lakes is on septic out there. Those people are not gonna want sewer because it's free to them.
Right.
From their point of view.
Right.
Even though we don't have septic inspection. We did, but then we got rid of it very quickly, unfortunately. But the data I've seen is, when they do have opportunity to look at septics, when they do expansion of the homes, all these people come with their permit request. They go out and do an inspection. 50% of them have failed.
Okay.
So a bunch of these things have failed, even without the inspections. These homes that these owners can flush the John, the stuff goes down, it disappears, they're happy.
Right.
But the failure rate is either tank is, something has happened in the drain field.
Right.
So, but they're not paying anything.
Right.
And that's why the Bedford people don't want anything, because they're not paying anything.
Right. It's out of sight, out of
sight,
mind.
out of mind. I mean,
As long as it
So-
goes down, we're
so
good.
Gordon's point is we don't want to create more problems for ourselves, because these people will not come back and say, oh yeah, I want a septic line.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's free, but now I have to pay, what's your biggest utility cost? It's septic.
Right.
I mean, after electric,
Right.
I mean, sewer is expensive.
Yeah.
So I can understand it, but. And my wife claims that her house has perfect septic. I was like, when was the last time you had to test it?
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, and that's I have an anecdotal story. Absolutely true. We are in the middle of going from septic to sewer in Domrick Hills of Maitland. It's the biggest improvement project that Maitland has ever done, because we're getting a lot of the funding from the state. And when they knocked on doors, one gentleman didn't even know where his septic tank was, and he lived there for 20 years.
I didn't know Dominic was on septic.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Wow, that's a really dense area to be on septic.
Well, they allow them to pay it over a period of time, whatever the assessment, quote unquote assessment is for the sewer, or does it have to come all in one charge?
My understanding is it has to be paid when you connect.
I
And
think there's options, because like with the humps and stuff, the tax will work out a plan over years. So
I know
there-
Maitland, they're estimating about $4,000 average, depends, could be more. Most people have 2 septic tanks. And then our city administration is trying to work it out where you pay a little bit each month to just add it to your property taxes, because it's just too much for some people to come up with.
Right.
And it has to be done.
Yeah,
yeah,
I think they do that with roads, humps, and I mean,
Right.
wherever someone's assessed, they know that people can't
Right.
afford $5,000.
Right. And see, and part of the issue, as it was being explained to me, was that because there's not an easement for sewage pipe tie-in, so basically what it is these are private properties. And so now the county has to have permission from the landowner to go onto their property to run these lines. And when they're not doing that, it's the owner's responsibility to go from the house to the street. And so that's what these grant proposals are being able to do. And Karen, you're right, they gave us the number of about $5,000. So it basically averages out about $4,000 to
And that's not
$5,000.
bad. I mean, $5,000, it's not a minor thing, because you gotta tie off and pop a hole into your sewer system, and also run the line, cut into your system.
Well,
Not
that's just the amount I'm paying the plumber to hook in.
Yeah.
Then I will have a charge every month that I didn't used to have every month.
Right.
Right.
Now,
Right.
if you've been doing what you're supposed to do with your septic tank, then it shouldn't be that much more to your budget. But if you haven't been, then it could be a shocker.
Now, do they take the septic tank out, or do they leave the septic tank there?
No, we would have to pay for that. And we're being told it's probably better to fill it in.
Are they gonna pump them and then fill them in?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have to this doesn't include the cost of pumping out the septic tank and then filling it back in with dirt. So
You
most
gotta
of the
think, I mean, the biggest problem that we see in this part of the pond discussion is the nitrates and the phosphates. When we output our body material, they're very heavy in phosphates and nitrates, surprisingly.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no, it has to be done. And we live near the wetlands. We live near a preserve.
Yeah.
And it's just overdone. In fact, there's a place in Winter Park not having it done
oh, really, where?
on Temple, and they're
Oh,
right
really?
on the wetland. They're septic.
Is that City of Winter Park? That's on the park is that open again, or is it still closed? The Trimble Park, or is it, or what's the name of that? Starts with a T.
I'm not
No,
sure. where
No,
you-
I'm sorry, you're talking. What was the street?
Wait,
I'm
wait, you're
talking about
talking,
Cal Branch Park. So off of Horatio,
Yeah.
there's a street called Temple that comes into
Yeah.
Domino
It's
Hills,
a Nico Park. It is a-
and they're on septic.
And it's really wet back there. I'm really even surprised. I mean,
It's a wetland. There's a stream back there. It connects Lake Wampy and Lake Maitland.
yeah, I used to bird back then and it was open. So, yeah, I know that park real well.
oh, right here.
Yeah, it's really a cool little park, but I think it's been closed for a while, but Yeah, it's
No,
issues.
it's not close. In fact,
Is it
they
open
got a
again?
2 million, well, they just got a $2 million grant, Winter Park did, to put some trails and stuff back there again. It used to have trails.
they had
So-
some issues with people.
We're
back
talking
there.
about this area right here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a park right there. So you're.
really not a park. It's a preserve.
Yeah, it's preserved.
Really
right?
not a destination. It's not a destination park. I mean, I live next to it and I can tell you there are tons of birds, coyotes. There was even a bear there, but it is not supposed to really be a park.
Well,
This is,
it's a park per se, but.
well, this is the park over here too, Minnehaha Park. Yeah, that has they've got
And
the
there's-
courts and stuff.
There is a Howell Branch Park off of Horatio with pavilions and
But that's,
Oh, yeah,
I'm
right
only
here.
religious about that because we're putting a road through Split Oak and they use the excuse it's not a park.
You're talking about this area right here, right?
well, it's a
That
preserve.
whole Hell Creek-
Yeah,
That whole Hell Creek is.
It's a preserve. It's a conservation area.
yeah.
Yeah, but to me, it's a park. We call it preserve. The reason why is, I mean, we're in this semantics dance with the split oak,
Mhm.
the mitigation bank, but
Right.
it's a park because people will use it. And we
Then I'll
better
call it a
build
park, because I don't want them coming in here. It's a
We
park.
just came out with we came out with a strong resolution, which will go to the county board from the
Right.
parks, that says, we do not want any roads through any parks in Orange County.
Oh, good,
This includes Split Oak, by the way,
good.
which we just had a long conversation about.
All right, so new business, I just want to kind of we would like to encourage all of our work groups to really, start meeting outside of just here. You know, come up with some recommendations and some ideas that we can turn into policy proposals so that we can get these things moving forward. I think maybe we've been a little stagnant, and I think that we can get things moving. But it's going to take a little bit of commitment outside of just this monthly meeting. Then obviously we can come back and talk about what we need to do as we progress.
Things are moving forward. This is, I mean, we got, Sustaina
Mhm.
is now moving.
Sustaina.
Sustaina.
I love it.
Sustaina.
You never know what it's going
I
to be
don't know what
called.
the hell is going to be called, because I have no idea what that.
You modify the name every time.
Know,
I love it.
It's Sustaina, I guess.
Sustaining, yes.
Stupid name.
It sustains our community.
Yeah,
Yes, it does.
The traffic.
Traffic.
this is true.
We need more sprawl.
And that's one of the, that's one of the things that some of the residents that, out there are trying to address. We've had a fatality and a child get hit over on Colonial and Lake Pickett. So trying to advance some safety features out that way to protect, the pedestrians and bicyclists that are out there, because it's continuing to be an issue. And Colonial is still being pushed back to
We gotta make
2028,
sure that
29.
Vision 2050 does not include that area, because the planners are using that as an excuse.
To delay.
This is part of our development area.
Yeah.
We don't need more development now.
Yeah.
Can I just add one thing? When we were
Sure.
doing our Domrick improvement, since the roads are being torn up already to put sewer lines in, when we put them back down, we're putting sidewalks, we're putting pedestrian walkways, we're putting medians. We're putting all that in. So wherever in Orange County we do septic sewer, we should really look at putting traffic calming and sidewalks in.
Are you gonna try to put a separate lane for bicycles or anything? Is there any talk about that?
No, we're not doing a separate lane for bicycles.
There is a bike trail that goes up to the park on the north side through the community. There's a urban pathway up there. And
You
actually
mean
goes all the way to the park. You know that park up in Maitland, right by the overpass?
I mean,
They end up
Kiwanee in
there.
Seminole County.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it comes through Orange County too. Because eventually you can go from there to the new overpass on 436.
But yeah, we do have that, but that's gonna, we have some designated bike lanes, but that's only like where we don't have sidewalks.
Yeah,
And
because
we're-
there is a bike lane right behind the school too, through the neighborhood.
There's supposed to be, there's a whole pedestrian map that's been drawn up. I think we're just looking for the funding. And there's gonna be, supposed to be like a bike pedestrian walkway on Horatio, because that's one of our most dangerous roads. Besides
Somehow we
17.
gotta keep them separate, because I used to ride those bikes, I used to ride my bike everywhere when I'm younger, and I still do, but I've almost become road rash recently, and I'm getting nervous.
So we are lucky because we have one of the premier traffic calming experts who lives in Maitland. So he contracts with the city and he comes up with traffic calming.
Nice.
Yeah, so he's a big bicyclist too.
We might have to ask them to help us out here too. But yeah, I think, with the Grove going in, they're going to be tearing up Colonial to put the forced sewer main and the water pipes in. So maybe that's the perfect opportunity to do some of these safety measures at the same time.
Yeah, you really need to do, I can give you his name list because
Sure.
we did things so wrong. We put sidewalks against roadways. You should have tree lawns at the least. You shouldn't have straight roads. They should be, meandering. It slows people down psychologically. I mean, we are so lucky to have Ian in Maitland because we've learned so much from him. And if he did everybody's roads, they would be so much safer.
I mean, there's an interesting video I just watched on road construction. And I know this from like where I live, Corinne Drive downtown, you drive 35 because it scares you if you go above that.
Right.
So if you design a road like we do out here, which are parkways, and then put up a 35 or 40-mile zone there, like on Lake Underhill out in the
Mhm.
Avalon or Curry Ford, they're all 4-lane with a green. What is the message there? And that's what you're
Right.
saying. The message there is go as fast as you can.
Right.
It's 65 or 70. It's
Right.
not, and you put this sign on 45. No one even
Yeah.
notices that because the design of it says what it is.
University
So what-
Boulevard.
University. So
Yeah.
what
Drag
you
racing.
do,
Yeah.
what you're doing is exactly what you have to. If you want a 25 or 35-mile zone, you design the road for that. You
Yep.
very tight little road, very curvy. You put roundabouts all over the place, and you have to think about, and then I
Yeah.
tell people in my neighborhood downtown, park on the road, make it tight.
Right.
So you have to kind of go around the cars.
Right.
It keeps you going slower. That's what you want. You
Stop using police to try to write traffic accidents and have just paralegals do that and have them issue tickets, and about $500 speeding ticket will.
Well, no, that doesn't stop you. No, it doesn't. I mean,
Well,
going
it
I
stops-
four,
It stops that one.
Yeah,
It
it
stops
stops
that
that
one
one, it
person.
stops the insurance,
but
but it's
The
reported. to
the best thing that the best thing that stops somebody is a physical impediment. We watched that when they put them in over near Brookshire Elementary School. They put a roundabout back in the 90s or 80s. And the
Yeah.
first thing that happened was a car ended up in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And
So, I think that happened in Orlando too. When you have something that your car can get hurt,
Mhm.
and there's no way for you to sue the city for putting it in, because that happens sometimes when they try to put the speed bumps, the cities can get sued for that. So you put roundabouts, put medians, put tree lawns. I mean, that's on the driver. And
Yeah.
they don't look at signs. They do not look at signs.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's interesting, where I live on Livingston downtown, you come up to the airport and there's Crystal Lake Road. If you look there, there's a pattern where they had thought about putting a roundabout, but they got weenie. The city
Mhm.
didn't want to put a roundabout. But that would have been a perfect place because traffic backs up
Right.
and we have issues. And it's the same problem that we have down at Cypress Grove,
Yeah.
where they want to put a road through the park.
Through the park.
Is
Yeah.
impediment of the red light actually would be solved with a roundabout because a roundabout has a self-regulating
Self-calming.
flow,
Yeah.
and you don't have the backups, and that's actually solves a lot of
Yeah,
problems.
but don't people have issue with that because they don't know how to use them? in this
They
country?
learn.
They learn quick.
They learn.
They do.
They do.
The villages,
But the good thing is,
the villages can figure it out.
yeah, the village, I mean, all these old parts up in the villages, they,
Hey, wait a minute, they're driving golf carts.
but no, you can, I mean, I don't use the excuse of that because you have the responsibility to learn the traffic laws and how to drive. And if you can't do it, then you need not be doing it.
The one thing we do that I would strongly suggest for Orange County is we have an informal traffic advisory board that meets with our city. And they call out the neighbors who are on those roads every day. And then you get information about that road that you wouldn't otherwise get. And then you just do it on a local kind of level, neighborhood by neighborhood, local level. And I think that's really helpful when you're spending tax money to make roads safer. You really need that input first.
Right.
But
Yeah.
the
Agreed.
thing about roundabouts, one of the places that I talked to the commissioner is at the end of Lake Pickett where it comes up to Bonneville, I believe. There's a 3-way stop sign, and there's been fatalities there.
That would be a great
And
roundabout.
the roundabout is perfect because there's no death points in a roundabout.
Right.
Plus, if you lose power, the roundabout still functions.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a bunch of, the one thing you have to design, which the engineers know, is big trucks and fire engines have to be able to get around them.
Right.
So you do maybe need more space.
Was it, yeah, that minimum radius, that was the issue we had with Ranger. We were trying to put roundabouts in, but I guess, there's not enough
Yeah, that buys some
space.
land. That
Yeah,
buys some
so
property.
they would have to annex some land.
But look at but the argument I would use on that would be, okay, you don't want to buy the land, but you're gonna have to signalize. The signal of a two is about $300,000-400,000 just to put the signal in. Then you have a operating cost of 7 to 10,000 a year forever.
Right,
So, and then you have depth points.
right.
So,
Yeah, we
Well,
just had
This,
speeders.
this kind of goes back to the stormwater. There's, I don't know what it's called, but there's something Ian does that we're gonna do here where your stormwater drain gets pushed out a little bit. So you creating a part of the road that's a little bit more narrow than the rest of it. And it helps with the stormwater runoff and it also helps with the traffic. Just
Mhm.
Ian knows all these tricks. It's really, he's super busy, but
Yeah.
I can I can share all his tricks because
I would,
I have
like to
love
get,
it,
I
yeah.
would like to learn when he's meeting, because I would like to find out about him, because
Cool.
road comment is a big issue with me.
Cool. All right, let's jump back in. I think we don't have anybody new here. Any announcements from anyone? Anybody have anything they would like to share? Don't all jump up at once. Elizabeth, do you have anything? You've been very quiet.
Hey, I'm still kind of in the learning phase. One question I did have was, I'd like to learn a little bit about that UCF corridor group. I think Austin's been absent the last few times, so that was one I kind of wondered what the scope on that one was.
Yeah, I will connect you and Austin and let's see if we can get that reboot and going.
Okay, thanks.
Be on that too, because we gotta get that going, because if we can get that overlay going on university, the next thing that Austin and I, others need to work on is down in the city of Orlando on the fair.
Yeah.
On the mall, the Fashion Square Mall, we do.
Cool.
So, but all these new, I'm really disappointed what the city of Orlando is doing right now with all the redevelopment of building like 4-story apartments on downtown. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
Are they getting parking or is there no parking?
No, there's parking.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they're putting in massive parking.
Yeah.
The problem with the city is they're putting in urban parking for city when there's opportunity to potentially slightly drop it and start testing it. And that's where Austin and I spoke about. Fashion Square would be a model to go, instead of 2 spaces per apartment, go to 1.5 and see how that works. And then as you do that, increase the links loop all the way out to Fashion Square. So you have a loop now
Mhm.
out there, and you service all the way down to downtown on a 15-minute loop free.
Oh, yeah, like the limo.
Limo,
Yeah.
it's the limo. Now we're gonna get the whatever.
Get a circulator.
The corn flop, I don't know. We have a grapefruit, they have lime. and-
Grapefruit and orange and lime, yeah.
So now it's going, let's do the corn.
Let's
flop.
yeah, the kumquat line. That'd be great. All right, if we don't have anything else, we can go ahead and adjourn. Let me
Okay.
get to my notes real quick. I forget when our next meeting is. It's June,
It's 20,
is it June 20th?
I think it is.
Okay.
I don't know when it sticks in
This
Uh,
one came early.
Yeah, this one came early. Oh, I totally just closed that
Luckily, I
window.
mean, thank God Kelly texted me. She just got out of school, that's why she's not done.
Yeah.
This is finals for her.
I'll look it up and send everybody a reminder. I apologize. I
Yeah,
should have had it ready to go.
Yeah, you sent out the thing, I just saved the email.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody. Does anybody else have anything they want to
You know
add?
when the next one's gonna be physically?
No, because it's supposed to be in Winter Park and we hold on. You know what?
It's
now-
after the new community.
No.
I thought that's where it was in Maitland before winter.
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah, all right, hold on. See, now,
Do you
now,
have anything in Maitland?
Yeah, no, it was
Goldenrod.
supposed to be. Yeah, on the 20th.
is this supposed to be Golden? See, so I was wondering if it was
There
going
you
to
go.
Goldenrod. There we go.
Park technically.
All right, June 15th,
Oh.
June 15th,
See,
Goldenrod.
I
There we
was
go.
1 month, okay, I was just a month early, I was
All right,
driving.
hold
to
on.
Goldenrod tonight.
Let me go back and share just so everybody can see.
So it's the 15th, not the 20th. Okay.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, June 15th at Goldenrod.
So that's your original email there? that you
Yes,
sent out
yes.
Months ago?
So now we do have, so for July, the Winter Park Library is not available. We tried Rollins, we tried Winter Park High School, we tried the 9th grade center. We've had no success. So if anybody knows of any meeting place in the Winter Park area that would be available.
What about not the community centers?
No, but I wanted to ask about the one that's
Down
basically Hannibal Square. Yeah,
Hannibal Square, I would,
yeah.
they have separate rooms there.
And then if
They can
that,
be broken down to be smaller. That's where we have the league's annual meeting.
yeah, if that doesn't work, I might do the Hannibal Square Heritage Center, which is right behind. All right, so yeah.
What about
Oh.
Winter Park Azalea Tennis Center?
That's what I was just thinking about. There is a general room. I used to be the person that used to run that.
Really?
When I was in high
Wow.
school,
Oh, wow.
long time ago.
They had it
I
back
had-
then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, way back. We even had electricity back then.
Yes, I'm signing off. Good night, everybody.
What was that, Elizabeth?
It sounded like y'all were wrapping up.
Emily
so
joined.
saying
I think.
Good night. I
Oh,
was.
no, that's not, is that Emily? No, that's you.
No, yeah, I'm Emily, sorry.
Okay.
I'm
I just
Emily.
noticed that. I'm like, oh, Emily.
That's the commissioner's account, so.
Right.
Elizabeth, you, oh, no, and she's gone. Okay, alrighty.
Okay, no,
Well, I will work on Winter Park. Stephanie and I are working on that, so we will look into,
and that's 7 o'clock.
yeah, and yeah, these will all be 7 o'clock now.
That's the rec center you're talking about there in Winter Park then, right?
Right there where the tennis courts
Oh, what
are.
about in Webster? They got that technical school over there by the Volvo dealership.
Yeah, I'm not sure who.
Oh, that's right, it's
Orange
Valencia,
County,
isn't it?
Orange County.
Or is it Orlando Tech?
Oh, what about VCC?
Valencia is right there on
Valencia's
Denny.
right there on
Yeah.
Morris.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
Valencia,
We used to
yeah.
have our
Okay.
board, we used to have league meetings there too.
All right,
That's a nice facility.
okay,
Yeah.
I've got some good, I've got some good leads.
I can ride my bike there.
I
Come on, my
I
bike.
can't. Remember. All
Uh,
right, cool. All right, with that,
Okay.
we will adjourn. Thank you, everybody.